Well, we're on Tim's Ford Lake this afternoon. This is the end of February, and we've absolutely had terrible weather the whole month. You know, we've had about 3 weeks of flooding and trash in the water and dirty water and everything you can imagine. Finally, things are settling down a little bit, and we've located some fish. Now, the technique we're using is we're actually slow trolling A-Rigs. Okay, by slow trolling, I mean we're running about 1.2 miles an hour. I'm using the Tarova on the front end to move the boat. The big engine's not running. And there's actually 6 or 8 rods out. And they're spread out, and each one has an A-Rig, and each A-Rig has 3 jigs on it. So we're pulling like 24 baits, and it gets really, really hectic, as we'll see in a minute. Here's a nice little hybrid. You know, that's not a big fish, but this time of year I'll take anything I can get. You see on the left-hand side there, one hit. There's a couple rods on each side that you can't really see with the camera. Alright, so I'll start reeling that one in. What's neat is when you go through a school of fish with this setup, a lot of times you catch more than one. They don't live alone. Now, one thing about you always want to keep an eye on the other rods. You notice that one hit. I'm fighting a fish on the starboard side there, and there's another rod hit. You can see how important it is here to have good rod holders. That one's coming up in the back. We'll fight that fish in. One thing about it with these, you can pretty much just lift the fish in unless they're really big. A-Rigs have a wire structure to them, and so they're pretty good. If I've got a big fish or I want to take a picture of something, sometimes I'll dip them, but typically I don't. I use special jigs that we make at StriperMemories, and the hooks are a lot stronger than what you can buy, so we don't really have a lot of problems with hook spinning anymore. Now pick that one up, start reeling it in. And I'm watching the other rods. They seem to be hitting on one side right now. It has to do with color. On the starboard side, all the baits are one color. On the port side, they're the other. Now this is an interesting clip right here. I'm fighting a fish that was on a rod on the port side of the boat, and all of a sudden, all the rods get hit on the starboard side. So it gets really busy really fast, and it's real easy to get all the stuff tangled up, and sometimes there's no way around it. You do. If you happen to get a big fish and they just swim back and forth, sometimes you can get all the lines tangled up. Now, that's not a monster fish, but it's a real healthy fish. They're really fat. There's a lot of alewives in the lake. Now, if you watch, all those rods on the starboard side are going to get hit. This is when it gets busy, because I'm over here reeling one in, and then they take off. And of course, the boat's going to keep moving. I'm moving at 1.2 miles an hour with a trolling motor, so the boat's going to keep moving, and I've got cruise control and autopilot, so I don't have to worry about that. Typically, when you get a bunch of fish on, it's probably the best thing is just port the boat to open water, where you know it's deep and you're not going to run into anything. Get all the fish landed, and then get things set back up and go back over and fish where you found them. Okay, we've just about got this fish in. This is a pretty good fish here. This one happens to be a striper. Now, of course, I've got the line tangled up, trying to lift it over the side of the boat. Once again, if I was really serious, I'd probably dip it. Now you can begin to see the fish. And here it comes. So that's a pretty good fish. Now that's a striper. The other fish earlier in the video were pretty much hybrids, but that happens to be a striper. And we'll get a little weight on it before we return it. That's a quality fish. If you look how fat that fish is, they're really, really healthy. Once again, that's because we have such a large alewife population in the lake. Okay, here's another one coming out. This is a hybrid. It's in good health too. It's pretty chunky. Once again, now that hit a chartreuse bait, so the port rods all have chartreuse and the starboard rods all have white or pearl. That's a nice one. And you see on the left hand there, we still got other fish on. So we're not done yet. We still got to get a bunch more fish pulled in here. But that's what's exciting about this type of fishing.